to my channel. Thank you guys for tuning in and welcome to another original series. Today I've got a rarity for you guys, a bit of a specialty, a special piece should I say. It's a solar quartz piece, and just give me a minute just to show this off. Now this is from the time where Seiko did very unique quartz pieces. They did some different things. I could be wrong because I don't really look at the new quartz watches coming out, but I haven't seen anything that is unique. Everything from on the new quartz art that do come out look pretty same to me. There's nothing that sticks out. But this was from the days where Seiko was killing the quartz. They're making these really crazy out there designs. So this is the Seiko Flight Computer Solar Prospects SSC275P9. I struggled to find what year this came out, but I know it is discontinued, and these are quite hard to come by. This one, I have seen a few of these, but there are a few. There's I think another 3 color options, and they are quite rare to come across. So as I mentioned, it's called a flight computer. As you can see, there's a whole load of numbers and all sorts of measurements and units, liters, foot, and anyone who's a pilot, then they'll definitely recognize these. I have spoke to, I think, a pilot in the past who said, he has used this stuff and he knows how to use these. But for me, it just looks amazing. I like the way it looks. I'm not going to use a flight computer. Just down to the dial. And as I mentioned, it is a Prospects model. And back in this day, there are a few solar powered watches which are flight computers or flight masters, as they're called. And Seiko does have a flight computer range. So there are a few out there. I do have a couple of, well, I've got 3 that are flight computers with a similar sort of setup as to this, but they all look very different. That's what I loved about the quartz from that sort of day and age. And all the quartz I do have, I believe they're all discontinued. So, and they're all unique pieces, so hopefully you'll see them as this series goes on. So just to do some specifications, some measurements. It does look like a big watch, and partly it's got a lot of information obviously just to display on there. So it's a solar powered quartz chronograph. What that means is your normal batteries are rated from Seiko, I'd say, I believe 5 years, 3 to 5 years, whereas the solar ones, in the actual booklet it says you never need to change it, but it's about 8 to 10 year life. I have replaced the battery on this, but I'll tell you, the solar charging on here is so efficient. This will be in my watch box for months on end, and I won't need to take it out. Now, because I've got LEDs in this room, that's charging while we speak. Now, an indicator that the quartz watches all come with is when the battery's running low, that skips a beat. So it'll miss a second and it'll tick every 2 seconds, if that makes sense. And that lets you know, change the battery. Now, it will do that for days and days on end. That gives you plenty of time to get a battery in. So, yes, measurements, sorry. So, the way this is made is quite difficult to measure the diameter, but the way I've done the diameter is I've gone from the edge of the bezel to the edge, which is, you're looking at about 44 mil. If you include the whole thing, it might be even coming out to about 46, but I can check here. So if I include the crown, yeah, nearly 49, and the width here have a look, is about 33. The reason I measure there, I find watches that do have a decent amount of width here, they're super comfortable on the wrist, believe me, super comfortable. So to cover the rest, 50mm lug to lug, 12mm thick, which you wouldn't believe looking at that from there, but it is only about 12 and a bit mil thick. And you've got a 22mm lug to lug. So let's give this beauty a closer look. As you can see, bags and bags of detail, features on the dial. You can't even say this dial is busy. And what I mean by that is, yes, it is busy, but for good reason. And even though it's this busy, the watch to me looks phenomenal. It does look like a flight deck. Well, not that I've seen one, but you can imagine when you see it on TV, all your flight controls. I think the color combination is amazing. If you go closer into the dial, the level of detail, you like comparing to divers, they're quite simple. Yes, you get some beautiful dials, but they are quite simple, which is what they're made to be, no doubt. But just look at the different elements on this. Your chapter ring, your inner bezel here, full of measurements. You do have a rotating bezel, unidirectional, because it doesn't need to be one direction, because obviously it's not for diving. So you can use this as a calculator. Amazing functionality as a tool watch. So it's for obviously aviation. There's one discrepancy I've come across on specs. I was reading one site, and the official site, where they used to sell them on. They say the crystal is sapphire, but I've checked it a couple of times with my diamond selector tool, and it is not sapphire, but this model I have is actually quite mint. You've got these embossed indices. The Arabics are 12, 1, 2, misses the 3, the 5, the 6, obviously because you've got 3 sub-dials. Moving on to the hands, you've got the second hand is a jet. How cool is that? Then you've got these sharp hands for the hour and the minute. You've got your seconds ticking away here on the left hand side, almost like a flight clock. On the right hand side, the sub-dial is a 24-hour clock. And then at the bottom is your timer, goes up to 60 minutes. And that's got a red tip to it. So there's bags of detail, and that's what I said, I always do rate the older quartz watches, because they spent that time on them and nearly missed it. There's a tiny little date window there. For me, because I have a few Flight Masters, so I still need something to differentiate between them. For me, the thing with this and what I love is here, this whole chronograph, all these pushers. It's like space age, modern. I haven't seen this on anything else. And when you've got your different color options, it actually gives you the colors in here. So this part will be like orange, red, which I think just adds bags of character. You've got a crown. Now watch what the crown does. See, it rotates from the top. So it's got all these added little features which make it so special. If you look here, look at these screws and these pushers. So let's click it in. And there you go. Now with the Seiko quartz, what they'll do, they'll give you that sweeping seconds hand. And you can see the red tipped hand on the sub-dial here. And then that super smooth, that glide back to 12. So Seiko, like I said, they have smashed it in the past with the quartz chronographs, and I don't have any non-chronograph quartz watches. All the chronographs I do love. In a quartz watch, I like to have sub-dials and like to have pushers. That's my personal taste. A lot of people, I mean, they do a whole like dress watch solar range as well. I don't have any of those. So let's have a look. Moving on. And another thing as well, you'll find, so when you come to the divers, bracelets are pretty much similar. There's not much difference between them, you know. But like the quartz, they had totally different bracelets. And if you look at this double pin design here, look at the links, you know, very unique, different. And it looks like it does taper slightly. And you've got this angular end link here, the way it sits. And look at that, it's a solid end link as well. Caseback Prospects logo in the center, and you've got your movement, which is a V175. That just corresponds to the complications you have within that quartz movement. Great finish, Seiko stamped on there. But I mean, it might be quartz, but these still come at the same price as the Prospects, divers, autos as well. So they were around £400 when they came out brand new. And you'll find that with the likes of the tuner, even though it's battery powered, solar powered, solar powered battery, they still have a hefty price tag. And this, since I timed it against the atomic clock on my phone, I've not had to mess with it, and literally it's been in the box for, just clean that, it's been in the box for over 6 months. And that is the beauty of quartz, especially this era where you just pick them up and go and they look fantastic. So look at the case on the side, quite shiny. And whereas a lot of the divers are mostly brushed for good reason, if you are going to dive with them, on the quartz watches you did get that shined and polished contrast on a lot of them. Smooth gliding bezel. Micro adjustments on the clasp, obviously. And put it on. And as I was saying about the width on here, it covers a lot more of your wrist. It sits really well, and the buttons here especially, so it does look like you're wearing a mini computer on your wrist. Very, very cool, retro in this day and age. Absolutely fantastic. Now, loom on these watches is quite minimal because they're not for diving, and generally with your aviator watches, they do have only got small pips, because you got to remember, if you are going to wear it while you're flying a plane, your whole dash is lit up anyway. You don't want this to confuse you. Let's just give you a quick loom shot. So as I did say, very minimal on the loom, just literally showing you north, east, south and west and the time. This is what I hate about this camera, it doesn't really capture it fails to focus on the loom. But yeah, so pretty simple. That was the loom, and as you have noticed, as you cannot see that sunray type dial, but if you actually look close, I believe there is some kind of coating on there, and to me it looks kind of acrylic. Do you see that? So it just adds to the character of the watch and the overall look. So that's all from me on this watch. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.